From NewsNation headquarters, this is NewsNation Prime.
We're bringing back our panel now. Republican strategist Matt Klink and NewsNation political contributor and former D.C. Democratic Chairman A. Scott Bolden. Welcome back, both of you. Scott, we're turning it to you first. Your quick reaction to hearing from J.D. Vance in the last 20 minutes.
Well, J.D. Vance has a real problem, and Trump has a real problem. It is the height of hypocrisy based on where he started versus where he is. He called him morally reprehensible. He attributed him to close to being a Hitler. And now, a few years later, he is now, because of power and his power desire, has accepted a VP position with Donald Trump. How do you call your running mate a morally reprehensible person, attribute them to being close to Hitler, and say, I'm all in for Donald Trump? That dichotomy is untenable, unbelievable, and I'll be honest with you. Was he telling the truth then, or is he telling the truth now? It doesn't really matter, because he lives in hypocrisy. I don't think it's good for the GOP, and for independent voters and those who are undecided, J.D. Vance isn't helping Donald Trump because he needs to grow. The momentum is with the Democrats right now. They got to figure out how to deal with Kamala Harris and this wave of support.
I want to turn it over to you, Matt. Do you think that the Trump camp is regretting their choice in J.D. Vance? Would they have chosen someone different knowing that it would have been Kamala Harris at the top of that ticket?
No, look. Thank you, Natasha. Good question. J.D. Vance is a great pick. It's politics, Scott. And Kamala Harris called Joe Biden a racist when she ran against him in 2020 and has served as his vice president for the last 3.5 years. But, I guess that doesn't matter. And look at how Hillary Clinton attacked Barack Obama in 2008. It's all about politics. J.D. Vance is a great pick. He adds, he's going to be additive in the Rust Belt states, particularly in Michigan and in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. And we're going to pick Kamala Harris apart for being part of the San Francisco lunatic fringe.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely heard him saying these things about Kamala Harris tonight, really taking her on. Matt, if I could push back very gently, the other people you mentioned were actually opponents. They were running against them at the time. Do you feel that voters would perceive this more as J.D. Vance's true thoughts? I mean, he had no reason to say these things about Donald Trump. He wasn't going up against him at the time.
You know, Natasha, opinions are not static and they change over time. And I know that we like to pick that apart in politics, but look, the Matt Klink 5 years ago is not the same Matt Klink that he is today.
We're going to find your tweets and pull them up, drag them up from the past. Matt, with the time we have, there is one moment in particular from Trump speaking to Christian voters last night, generating so many headlines still right now, telling this group that they won't have to vote anymore if they do this in November. Let's all take a quick listen quickly, and I want to get your reaction.
I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
Okay, so Matt, Trump also telling the Turning Point crowd that, quote, everything would be fixed. What is the reaction you're tracking? What are you making of these comments?
Well, look, I agree with what your Washington, D.C. analyst said. And what he said was that Trump basically said that when he gets elected, he's going to implement policies so they won't have to vote because he's going to implement all their policies. But the left and the left-wing media's head's going to explode, and it will give them another opportunity to say that Trump is an existential threat to democracy and continue on that track that Joe Biden tried and failed, and Kamala will try it and she'll fail as well.
Okay, and Scott, I actually want to ask you about a new poll with young voters in a moment, but first, just if I could get your reaction to that. I mean, does this reek of dictatorship to you, as some on the far left are saying? Do you think there's a fairer, more contextual way to look at this soundbite?
Well, I think Donald Trump talks in hyperbole, and I'll be honest with you. I believe that when someone tells you who they are or shows you who they are, you should believe them. And Donald Trump has said and done a lot that's damaged America, and so I believe him when he says they don't have to vote. My takeaway from Donald Trump's statement was that they won't have to vote again because he's going to turn it into a dictatorship, quote, day one. So I accept what he says. He's got a bigger problem, though. Why is he campaigning in Minnesota when they haven't won Minnesota in 50 or 60 years, and the Dems are up by 10 points? It makes no sense. They did a rally in New York, and they've never won New York. And so they may be brimming with confidence, but there's a Democratic move and a Democratic wave that's coming that includes a coalition of black and brown folks and women voters who are pro-choice, and they still haven't figured out how to deal with that and to stop Kamala Harris's momentum.
All right, we are out of time. Panel, I could speak to you all night. I enjoy this so much. Matt Klink and A. Scott Bolden, thank you both.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.